Hopefully you have had your coffee, your brain juices are flowing because we're starting the podcast off again with an immaculate grid. We're doing some trivia, NBA trivia, and as of recording this, for anybody that wants to know, it is the morning time for us. So got to make sure everything's good and going as we start this podcast. Like we said, there is a video version on YouTube if you want to watch along, or we will do our best to describe the chaos that is about to ensue on Immaculate Grid for the podcast listeners. And obviously, you can scream in the car when we are not able to get one of them, and you know it's a very obvious player.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I like that intro, Justin. A little slick. Yeah, we're recording a lot earlier than usual. I mean, usually we're a nighttime generally recording podcast, but we are recording this at 10-12 in the morning. So I'm excited. We're here. We'll put this freshness to the test of the Immaculate Grid early. Let's hope it pays off.
Quinn went to bed without a fuss last night. She knew we were recording. She knew what was up. We were ready to go. So here is our Immaculate Grid going across from the left to the right. On top, we got the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm going to be so upset with us if we can't get all those. We got the San Antonio Spurs in the middle, and then at the far right, 20-plus points/game season. I would assume that means points per game.
Yeah.
And then going down, we've got Lakers, Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Boston Celtics. So I will start it off if you're cool with me doing it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go Al Horford for our 76ers Boston's connection.
That is and I'm glad you're using him there because you could also use him for Sixers and OKC. But I think there's a rarer one that will do us favors here.
Yeah, because that Al Horford, honestly though, that Al Horford connection, that was 74% of other people doing it. So maybe we should have went with him in OKC.
Well, it's so recent. So no, because I like our one with OKC better. And this is a classic Sixers mishap, in my opinion, and just letting a young player go too early who's developed there in Oklahoma City. And that is Mr. Isaiah Joe, who had a great season from beyond the arc this year, really shooting the basketball. So
Joe. There he is.
Yeah, there you
Isaiah Joe. Yeah, look at that, 4%.
Yeah, 4%. That's what I'm saying. See, I feel good about that. I'm glad we used, because like I said, yeah, you could use Horford there. Horford was briefly in Oklahoma City. But Isaiah Joe a lot rarer, and that allows us to hit the obvious one.
So let me hit you with another Isaiah.
Okay.
That's going to be the bottom right corner for the podcast listeners, which is Boston Celtics 20-plus points per game in the season.
Yep.
Isaiah Thomas.
Definitely. And I do feel like that'll be a little rarer. Like, I mean, there's a bunch for Boston, obviously. You know, you go through Paul Pierce, you go through Kevin Garnett, you go through Ray Allen. I mean, recently Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And, like, you really could and that's not even going way back into the archive, obviously. Like, you go way back to when they're winning all those titles with Red Auerbach.
And now to that, we could probably save, we could probably use Durant or Westbrook or Harden for the 20 points and Oklahoma City Thunder connection.
The 20-point game, if we can't get these with the Lakers and Thunder, like, that's a legit gimme. But
it's Durant, LeBron. Like, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Like, and again, the Lakers like the Celtics.
But
how much time do you have?
Well, that's what I mean is, like, we got to try to get low percentages here, right? So, like, is there an underrated OKC? Would Harden be the lesser of the three that they would guess?
I mean, Harden's going to get less than Durant and Westbrook for sure. I would like Paul George would also get 20 there.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, you could have used Al Horford there probably.
I bet Paul George would be a very low number for OKC, 20-plus points per game.
I do. I think it's the only reason I think he would maybe beat Harden is because he's a little more recent. But use Paul George there. Why not?
You want Paul George or Harden? Which one are we going with?
Use Paul George. You're confident. I like it.
Sure. 6%.
Yeah, 6%. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Harden would have been low. Yeah, Durant and Westbrook are the two obvious ones. Right. You got a bunch there with OKC. I mean, for the Lakers, the most obvious one is Kobe. Like, that's the one that I think everyone will get without thinking. LeBron, AD, Shaq. Who'd you say? Oh,
Anthony Davis.
Iggy. I thought you said Iggy. I'm like, Iggy. I'm like, what?
No. I'm trying to think like, okay, so do you think
AD will be lower than the three I just mentioned for sure?
Did Paul Gasol do it?
So I want to use Powell for the Spurs and the Lakers, and that's the only reason why I don't want to use
Okay.
Powell there.
Okay, good call, good call.
Um,
Should I just put him in now? You want me to put him here now?
Powell now, yeah.
Oh, well, it would help if I spelled him right. Gasol. All right, 11%. We're
I like
doing
our.
good.
I really like the percentages. Yeah, we haven't gone any slam dunks here.
No, and that's well, Al Horford's really our slam dunk there because that was
Yeah.
a little obvious, but I came in hot on that one. I should have slowed up. All right. So the four remaining for the podcast listeners is we need our 76ers Lakers connection. We need our San Antonio Spurs connection to the OKC Thunder and the Boston Celtics. And then we still need our Lakers 20 plus points per game in a season, which we have a lot. We're trying to figure out which one's the lowest.
Yeah, we'll end there. That one's obvious. I do want to knock the Sixers and the Lakers out on the left because I have one for that, and that's Danny Green.
Danny Green,
great 2 years with us. Won the title with the Lakers in 2020. Guys around the league at this point, but 100%.
Before we go forward, would Isaiah Cannon fit in this as well? I can't remember. Did he ever make it over there?
I don't think so, and not enough to guess it over Danny Green.
Okay,
I am not remotely confident about that at all.
Danny Green with 12%. Okay,
Isaiah Cannon. That's the process guy you thought of?
Well, I mean, because wasn't he everywhere?
Not like Ish Smith. Ish Smith is the definition of everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
Smith. So that's another player I was thinking of.
When I play NFL Immaculate Grid, my just guaranteed fallback guesses, if all else fails, are guys like Josh McCown and Josh Johnson and, just kind of backup quarterbacks that have been everywhere. My NBA guess with that is basically Ish Smith. Like Ish Smith has, I think, been on over half the league's teams at this point.
I can tell you. Hold on, I'll pull him up. Okay, so we've got, Golden State, Memphis, Milwaukee, Pelicans, Houston, OKC, Hornets, Denver, Orlando, Phoenix, Philly, Washington, Detroit.
Amazingly, he wouldn't actually fit in any of these here.
How is that even possible, right?
For the Lakers, funny. I mean, if you want to go back in the books, I mean, for the Lakers, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Magic, Kareem.
Yeah, which one
James
is just
Worthy?
Which one's just going to be the which one what you're talking about? 20 plus points?
20 plus points. I think it's like the least obvious ones that work are like James Worthy. I mean, you know what? There are some other guys there. I'll tell you what, like Karl Malone was there for a year, and I don't think a lot of people will get that because he's obviously spent most of his time with Utah.
Should we do that one?
Yeah.
Do you think that's too far back?
No, it was in 04.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because they lost the finals.
Malone. Oh, no.
What? No way. Karl Malone never had 20 points a game?
Well, let me look it up.
Does this have to be playing while playing for the Lakers?
No way.
Because that's dishonest if that's the way that the rules are set up. Because that's not how other Immaculate Grids work.
I'm going to be very upset. Karl Malone definitely
is the
was
second
20
leading scorer in NBA third, I guess, leading scorer in NBA history. But
yeah, he played 42 games for the Lakers. Yo, Basketball Reference.
I feel robbed. That took the wind out of my sails a little bit. We may have to go back to crossover grid. I'm a little upset.
Yeah, Karl had over 20 plus points per game for literally every
career.
Literally every season except for two. His last season, the one with the Lakers, and his first season with Utah. So
I guess that's what they're doing. Is it has to be with that team, but the other grids do it where you just have to have completed the stat. It doesn't have to. Well, that's disheartening.
I'm emailing. Can we?
I'm putting an asterisk up. Like I want I borderline want you to reset this grid and so we can get our 100%.
I don't think I can. There's no reset. I'm so upset.
No, we can't. It's fine.
I'm so upset.
There's a zillion other people at work. I know we got that right. That's ridiculous. Let's worry about getting the other two. All right. Spurs and OKC.
Ooh,
there's a lot of random transactions there of guys that have low key under the radar trades. Oh, you know what? Rudy Gay played for both of them. That wasn't what I was thinking of as random under the radar, but Rudy Gay is good though. For both of them.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one. All right. No.
Oh wow, that's on me then. I get that. That might be
No,
on
he
me.
definitely did, didn't he?
He definitely played for the Spurs. Maybe he didn't play for the Thunder. I was pretty convinced. Maybe he got bought out, so it doesn't count.
Hold on. I guess you're right.
I,
No, Sacramento. Yeah,
did he get bought out?
San Antonio Spurs.
No, I know he played for the Spurs. I mean, that's not the one that's
Oh, right. Sorry, I was thinking Spurs. I was like, he definitely played for the Spurs. No, yeah, no, OKC. Okay,
damn. Okay, that's on me. All right,
Memphis,
I'll take the L there.
Toronto, Kings, Spurs, Utah.
Yeah, I swore. I thought he. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Boston, San
Dang.
Antonio.
We're only gonna get
We
we're
should
gonna
get eight.
two.
We should get 8. If we
Yeah,
get this last one, it's going to be 8. I'm
it
not
counts as
counting
8.
this as 7.
Yeah,
The
that's a
Lakers
bummer.
one is ridiculous. The OKC Spurs one, I'll cop to. Like that's on me. All right,
Spurs,
Celtics and Spurs.
Celtics.
Who they have somebody recent. It's on the tip of my tongue. Um, oh, Derek
White.
White.
Yeah,
Yeah.
White.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I was like, we used him in another one recently.
We did. Okay.
Okay, our score is 372. We technically got the top right corner, which was Malone, but whatever.
That should have been. I mean, yeah. Click the Lakers, who it would have showed for, and then I do want to see Thunder Spurs and see if there's
So there's
anybody
been
bad we missed.
interesting. So this is fun. I like this part too. For the Lakers and 76ers connection, there were 58 players that would have worked.
I believe that. I mean, Lou Williams would have worked. Dwight Howard would have
Yeah,
worked.
Lou will. Which is
And that's just
actually
recent.
the most connections, except for no, it's not actually. It's
OKC
OKC,
and
Thunder,
Sixers.
and Philly. That's actually a little surprising.
Oh, if you got the Sonics too. If you really
Yeah,
go
that's
back,
true. James
lot there.
Harden, Jeremy Grant, Terrence Ferguson, Jim Farmer, Reggie Evans, Isaiah Joe, which is the most recent one, obviously. Royal Ivy, Ersan Ilyasova.
Royal Ivy. Wow, I forgot. Royal Ivy's coaching now, I think, somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, I forget where, but I'm pretty sure he's coaching somewhere.
That's cool.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, the Spurs and the Thunder.
Hold on, I want to see this player connection. The stat head. So it must have been.
No, it has to have been while they played for the team. That's the only way it makes sense.
So they have everyone else we talked about. I mean, Worthy, Magic Johnson, Byron Scott, Magic Johnson again.
Byron Scott's a good one for rarity.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jerry West counts. Or are they just showing? No, yeah, they're showing. Okay, yeah.
I mean, Elgin Baylor should be there.
Yep, Elgin Baylor's
Shaq
there.
should be there. Who else?
Shaq is there.
Is George Mikan there?
George Mikan.
Going way back to Minneapolis Lakers days.
George. Yep. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times.
George Mikan's the OG Laker. He's he's a guy who kind of washed out of the league when the shot clock came around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he was one of those dominant in the 40s and 50s guys.
Goodrich is on here from the 71-72 season and 72-73 season.
Yeah, I mean, either way, there's a lot of options. I'm whatever. I'm a little pissy
Jim Price.
about that. We may have to go back to crossover grid after that. I want my 8.
Yeah, that's a little disappointing.
The
Kobe's
NFL
on here for every season. That's hilarious.
I mean, Kobe is the obvious one, and that's where it's just whatever. We knew the answer. I'm not too worried about that. I'm just surprised. I thought that's how the grid was. I mean, it's good to know for next time, but the other grid games have generally, as long as they just played for the team at some point, it's not the when did they do the specific stat, because that's radical. I would have, you approach that question radically different. I would have obviously would have guessed Karl Malone. He was at the end of his career that year. He played with the Lakers.
Who has had more? I hope this is right. I don't want to be wrong asking you this question, this little trivia question based off this one website, because I'm nervous now. But who has had more 20-point seasons, Anthony Davis or LeBron James for the Lakers?
Oh, for the Lakers. Wow. Okay. Oh God. They both been there. Has LeBron been there one more year?
Okay, so hold on. I can give you that answer. LeBron.
I'm inclined to say LeBron, but I feel like it's gonna be AD because it's
LeBron's been there 5 seasons.
AD's been 4, yeah? Or they traded for him midway through the first one?
Yeah, KD's been there, AD's been there 4 seasons. Yeah,
Okay. So what? So it's got to be LeBron then by math, or
yeah,
did he have? Yeah, I was okay.
yeah.
I was
You're
gonna
right.
say, I'm like, he didn't have one where he averaged less than 20. I was like, I know
No,
LeBron's fallen off a little bit, but not like that.
no. LeBron, since going to the Lakers, actual average, if I can get this to pull up, has been 27 points per game.
Yeah, like LeBron not scoring 20 would be
Wild.
odd. Like LeBron, like Jordan, even in his 43 years old season with the Wizards, was averaging, I think, 22 points a game. Like, I don't think LeBron will ever hit a point where he can't get like the day he can't get 20 in the NBA, like I'm more inclined to think he'll be closer to
Yeah,
like 45.
you could argue LeBron's best stats career wise are with the Lakers.
Oh, that's nuts, Justin. That's a bridge too far. Like I know what you're
No,
saying, but
no, but like literally just eyeballing it, his numbers are higher.
I guess, but like, ah, man,
It's
I
less
don't.
games, smaller sample size than like Cleveland, but he's pretty close to the same amount of games as he played in Miami, and he's definitely higher than Miami.
Yeah, but he was a way better player in Miami. He may not have
Yeah,
been as complete as he is now in LA,
yeah,
but that was prime. Miami had prime athletic LeBron. Like he was
yeah.
flying all over the place. Then like, he can't
I
fly.
know.
Like he still flies, but he can't fly like that
He's
anymore.
he's 27.4 points per game, which is higher than any other team collective career stats. He's got more total rebounds and he's got more assists. His steals are essentially the same. His free throw percentage is in the middle there. His effective field goal percentage is more than in Cleveland, but less than in Miami. 3-point percentage is again the same. I don't know, man. Numbers wise, he's like Lakers numbers are a lot better.
On a completely different note, one last grid thought. All the old heads who are listening to the podcast are going to look at that Sixers Lakers corner and go, they got Danny Green before Wilt Chamberlain. Like, what are you doing?
We're going for the low percentage.
No, I know. Obviously, Wilt, I think without a doubt, the most famous there to overlap.
Yeah.
But welcome everybody to the Drive and Dish NBA podcast. My name is Kevin Rayfuse. Joining me as always, my co-host Justin Kuzart.
Disrespect the caterpillar. Rave about the butterfly.
Is this Kuzma?
No.
This feels like a Drake caption. Have you seen what Drake's been captioned while he's on tour?
No, but he's been going viral with all the bras being thrown at him.
Well, that one was crazy. I didn't know they went up to L either. L is nuts. Like, that is crazy. Like, G is one thing. Like, I get that, but I'm like, L is, oh my, I mean, never mind. This is not our target audience.
Yeah.
Who tweeted that?
That would be Dame.
Oh my God. Now I'm sick of it. No, now I'm so, oh my God.
You're mad? You're
I am
hating it?
so tired of the Damian Lillard story, Justin, and I don't want subtweets from Dame at this point. I don't want to hear
what we're getting.
I'm so I'm not ranting today. It's too early in the morning and it's a Friday. We're not doing this. I mean, this saga is just the worst already. Like we talked about it a little bit last episode when the memo came out, and so there was actually something real there. He's more than likely going to end up in Miami still. Like it's from what it sounds like. I mean, Wendy said nobody else is making any serious offers, but like, can we just not say anything until this happens now? Like, can we stop posturing for a little bit? We know what it is.
The last one I saw trade rumors wise was the Mavericks got involved and somehow Tyler Hero ended up on the Mavs, which was like, that would be confusing, but yeah, sure. Like, let's do it.
Somebody will take Hero. Like, it just doesn't sound like Portland wants Hero. I think Brooklyn could jump in. I mean, they have the resources and like they could pay Hero now and it wouldn't even really, alter their long-term outlook a bit. And like, I do think like Hero, the narrative has fluctuated all over the place.
Oh
And I
yeah.
mean, this year it's not his fault, obviously, but like I do think there's a part of you that looks at Miami and goes, yeah, Tyler Hero played like a quarter and a half of the playoffs this year, and they made the finals.
Yeah.
So, you know, clearly, I think part of you could go, oh, well, his skill set's really replaceable. And he did have a really horrendous conference finals last year where he kind of got ran off the floor a little bit. I'm also just not about to rule out like what Tyler Hero has done for this franchise and like what a key part he was in that bubble run and just the consistent excellence they've had there these past few years. Like, I don't know. Like, he might be overpaid a little bit for sure, but I still think there's a lot of teams that should be wanting to buy almost a little bit lower at this point than Tyler Hero or on Tyler Hero. Like, he can still impact a lot of things on the basketball court in a positive way. Like, this is not like, to me, this is not a guy that just got completely exposed and is going to be unplayable in the playoffs. Like, he can work on a lot of rosters.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll see where it goes. Obviously, if you want to hear our conversation about that, you can go back an episode and hear our Dame thoughts. We did want to talk about ESPN firing Mark Jackson. That was something we wanted to bring up.
Yep.
He released a whole, thank you essentially, and good luck.
Yeah, we'll
On
get into
social
that.
media.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into the FIBA rosters, and we're going to talk a little bit to end the show about some unfortunate news for Montrezl Harrell,
Mhm.
and kind of to that point a little bit. I don't think we ever hit the Sixers bringing Paul Reed back, which is like one of three positive things I have to say about the Sixers at all for this
Sure,
upcoming season. So,
sure.
like, I guess I might as well do that because I'm happy for Paul Reed. But in the meantime, leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad, read them on the show. If you're not an Apple user, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
Yep, and like we said, we are on YouTube, so there is a video version of the podcast with the Immaculate Grids side of things. If you're having trouble visualizing it, and shout out to Pascal, our newest subscriber, as of 18 hours ago when we were recording this. So we were up to 61 subscribers. If you want to be number 62, Driving Dish NBA on YouTube.
All right. Yeah. Big thanks to Pascal. Salute. And now a word from our sponsors.
So let's start with Mark Jackson getting fired. Like we said earlier, let go or fire, however you want to say it. No longer with ESPN. He's been there for almost 15 years. Um, you know, Pretty memorable guy in general for the basketball broadcast family of, people that you just grow up listening to and maybe don't even realize it, or watching and you don't realize it, but becomes a voice of even that sport for you at times.
I mean, they've called every final since this podcast has been in
Yeah.
existence now. We're going on our 10th year. And it goes way back before that. I mean, realistically, like for you and I think of our basically adolescence into all the way up to now, they've called every finals game. Like they're not the only that crew of Mike Breen and Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson. Like they're not the only iconic basketball crew out there. But I certainly think anybody modern is thinking of them. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Mark Jackson's big takeaway from everything, or his signature call would be "Mama, there goes that man." Um, and maybe the writing was on the wall a little bit. I mean, when our pal Chase Bunker came on the show a few weeks ago, Jeff Van Gundy had just got let go as part of the ESPN layoffs. Like this was you know, essentially the whole network got affected. They had pretty big analysts in every
Hmm.
sport. I mean, Jalen Rose got laid off hoops wise, but just, across the board, there were layoffs. And you did kind of wonder, what it was going to look like. Like Mike Breen's job has never been in danger, which is great because I do think Mike Breen is the best play-by-play guy in basketball by far, in my opinion. Um, but then you do wonder, is Mark Jackson, like, how is he going to take potentially, like, there were rumors swirling that he was going to get like downgraded to the broadcast B team. And it's like, how do you even take that after you've been the guy here for so long? And it's a chemistry thing. Like, are you going to bring a third partner into that? Like after
Yeah.
you let Jeff Van Gundy go, and it felt weird. And so now, it's official and that they're both gone. And Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, if they choose to stay in broadcasting, I would imagine would have their choice of any major
Many.
jobs at networks. Like you wonder if TNT already hasn't made the call to both of them. Um, but it is like I really got bummed when Mike Breen spoke out about it. And I think he spoke out about the fact that he's like, I thought there was unfinished business. Like we were planning to do this forever. Like, we spent so many, memorable series together. We spent so much time together. Like, we really had developed that chemistry. Like, it clearly was a successful product. And so, yeah, I think that's what bummed me out. I think more than any of them individually, because like both of them,
Well,
Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson both have quirks and moments where you're just like, what are you guys talking about right now? Too, like, I'm not saying there's some broadcast deity out here, but yeah, no, I think that really bums me out. The rumors are already swirling. If you believe the latest one is that it's going to be Doris Burke and Doc Rivers, who are the ultimate replacement crew with Mike Breen,
yeah.
which, we'll get into that in a little bit. Because I don't want to knock those two either. But yeah, I think that article for sure, and I'm blanking on where I feel like it might have been I don't remember if it was in the New York Times or New York Post. It was in one of them. But yeah, that definitely bummed me out a bit. Like, Mike Breen was really sad about this.
Well, and I guess, his reaction in general, however it came out, or the angle that he took, was going to be seen under a microscope, right? Like, because like you from a, I guess, company, being in a company, you can't, if you have feelings about things, there's a right and a wrong way to go about doing it. And so I assume that's what was happening there, right? Like, you can't come out and be like, this was the dumbest whatever, like,
Yeah.
you can't do that. But
And it's tough because you have,
because if you
I
come
can
out
talk
and,
about this more. So I'm going to take the ball here and
yeah.
say that this is the opinion of Kevin.
Mm.
You get a weird survivor's guilt when you survive layoffs at the
Yes.
same time. Like, I've been in situations where I've been around coworkers of mine who have lost their jobs, and it wasn't really performance based. And I've survived those layoffs.
You feel bad.
And you do have those moments too at times where you're like, it's awkward because you want to be supportive of your coworkers, right? Like, of your guys. Like, when I had coworkers that were laid off, like, they genuinely were friends of mine and still are. Like, so you want to be supportive of them and say, hey, I think that was the wrong decision. I'm also keeping my job and going to try to move forward with whatever the replacement is,
Right.
and did move forward with the replacement. And you just put a smile on and you make it work, and you don't necessarily take it out on them, because that's incredibly unfair either. And
Well,
so and I'm
there
glad
are
Mike Breen didn't blast whoever his
yeah.
future broadcast partners are going to be, because it's not like, if it ends up being Doris Burke and Doc Rivers, it's not like they were behind the
Right.
scenes going, like, plotting some Game of Thrones
Right.
Littlefinger style executions here where they were setting this up. Like, and if that comes out, then they set it up, then they should be substitutes all. But I'm not even remotely suggesting that. Like, that's just the business, unfortunately, sometimes.
Right.
Like, I was in the broadcast business for 9.5 years. Like, they've been in it a lot longer than I was. Like, you just know how it stinks. Everyone
Yep.
wishes it wasn't that way. It also just happens sometimes. And yeah,
It's
but it
business.
is weird for
Yeah.
Mike Breen because it wasn't a whole crew that got fired. Like, he is the one like, he's still showing up to ESPN and calling the finals next season.
Yeah, it is weird. And, I again, from a where I work standpoint, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, everyone on the station but myself was different. And so it is a very similar situation in that, you meet new people and they're awesome. And you were working with other people who you thought were awesome. And it's just part of the business, man. At the end of the day, I'm trying to make sure I can pay for daycare and I can pay for food for Nicole and Quinn. And so it's like, we got to keep moving on. And, I think you run into situations where people who were left feel like you not leaving show that you weren't loyal to them or something like that. And that's not the case. At the end of the day, we're coworkers. I'm doing a job here. We don't hang outside, in my specific situations, like, we didn't really hang outside of work. So it's like, I get it. Do I agree with all the moves that were made? No, but also is we're coworkers. So, we're gonna keep
And if
on
you
moving
choose to
on.
be and if you chose to be loyal and make that decision, and it really bothered, and this is in any situation too, if Mike Breen had said, yo, I'm really upset about this, I'm dipping, then so
Okay.
be it. Like, that's his
Yeah.
prerogative. You're allowed to do that. But yeah, leaving a job
There
is
was someone in our building that did that. and has been not petty, but mentioned things to me about other people getting raises and in new positions, and they feel certain ways about it. And it's like, well, you left. They didn't fire you, you know. But that's a whole nother like cup of tea we could go down another day.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't want to get you in trouble either, but
Yeah.
I am from again the opinion of Kevin Rayfuse. I am glad that you, Justin Kuzart, seem appreciated because you
Mm,
don't need me to gas you up, but you've been a
mm,
gem in this business for a long time, and every radio company would benefit from you being on their staff. All right, so
mm.
USA
Wait. Well,
basketball team.
hold on. We can't just glance over that because this Mark Jackson thing gets a little deeper.
Okay.
Pun kind of intended.
Oh, no.
He's been reached out to by a adult webcam site, and they've offered him $1 million. So Cam Soda's vice president reached out to him, which would
To call
involve
hoops?
no, no, to get it on, I guess. It's an
How would
adult
they?
webcam site.
Why would this be their demographic here? Like, what's the end game here?
The vice president told him he's even allowed to use his catchphrases during sensational moments during the show. So
All right, Cam. So, Cam Soda, y'all gotta relax.
it's it's got to be a publicity stunt, but still, like, come on, that's hilarious.
The best publicity stunt by an adult site of all time, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but Pornhub was snow plowing, and they were calling it Pornhub Plows, and they were plowing streets up and getting community. And like,
Listen, hey, they're helping people. Good for them.
I'm just saying, like, do with that what you want. The USA FIBA World Basketball Cup roster is out. They're getting ready. They're in training camp. Steve Kerr is coaching the roster. I mean, this tournament is always a little more fun because it highlights younger guys. Like, this is not the best this is not the USA mega all-stars, but there's a lot of young talent on this roster. And so it's going to be fun to watch. And, it's kind of where you see guys that can break out, but the full roster, you got Paolo Banchero, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Anthony Edwards, who will also now be wearing number 5 this season. That came out this week. So all the Minnesota fans go and get your new Ant jerseys. Tyrese Halliburton, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Jaren Jackson, Cam Johnson, Walker Kessler, Bobby Portis, and Austin Reeves. So, obviously a good mix of young guys, of up-and-coming guys, of guys that just got the Supermax, of guys that have broken out a little bit.
And none of those guys have played for the U.S. on the senior level, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, and Tyrese just got their first All-Star appearances as well. So that's pretty cool for them. I mean, Paolo Banchero, obviously Rookie of the Year.
What's worth noting, at least according to NBA, every U.S. team has at least 2 guys with senior level team experience. So this will be the first one without that.
Yeah.
It's not the youngest team though. That was pointed out. I think the youngest team was the 2014 World Cup. Actually, no, the 2004 Olympics they were the youngest. So
yeah, well, and that didn't exactly go great.
Not the best.
I mean, look, this is going to be, they're far from a lock. Like we said, I think the point is with that roster, like, yeah, they're definitely far from being a lock by all means, but I do think this is an intriguing group, and I think they're going to compete. Like, I like the youth coming around.
Yeah.
Again, this is Steve Kerr's first time. He took over for Pop. So, we'll see what he does running the ship here.
Cool with it.
They got an exhibition against Puerto Rico on the 7th.
We were texting about this. You brought it up. Who do you think is the player that benefits the most from this tournament?
Yeah.
This experience. And to me, I think it's whoever comes out of this or goes into this perceived as the quote unquote like captain, the vet, because there really isn't one. But like the first names that kind of popped up to me that I think could potentially be the person to like be that captain of the team would be like a Brandon Ingram, Jalen Brunson, maybe Bobby Portis, like a little bit older, but like has the experience enough to kind of back up the talk that they have. Um, and then get that experience as the leader of this team, you know? Like that to me would be the person that could potentially benefit from this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the breakout candidate in terms of who can be like the most eye-popping performances and jump off the page a little bit is Anthony
Yeah. Oh,
Edwards.
yeah. Yeah. For
I think
sure.
he'll be the main scoring guy. I think he can really, kind of boost his stock here. I'm with you on the vet. I mean, the vets of this roster are going to be, like you mentioned, Bobby Portis definitely one. I think Josh Hart is going to be a vet in this
Yeah.
roster. I
Yeah.
think Jalen Brunson, maybe, as crazy as that sounds.
I do too.
Um,
I think just because of the hype around him specifically.
Yeah, and they've a lot. There is a fair amount of guys who played. I mean, Cam Johnson again played meaningful minutes recently with the Suns. Mikal Bridges was in the finals recently.
Yeah.
Ants played playoff minutes. Jalen Brunson's between Dallas and last season with the Knicks played a lot of meaningful playoff minutes, like Jaren Jackson has with the
Mhm.
Grizzlies. Bobby Portis won a championship with the Bucks. Austin Reeves is another guy. I mean, look at Austin Reeves' stock and how much that improved and what playing for the Lakers has done with him. Like
Yeah.
it's an intriguing squad. They're not a lock to win, but I'm excited to watch the young guys. I think they're going to play. I think they're going to play hard, if nothing else, which is all you can ask for. Their group play, they've got New Zealand, they've got Greece, and they've got Jordan. They're later in the month. New Zealand is on the 26th. Greece is on the 28th, and then Jordan's on August 30th. And then we'll go into single elimination after that. The tournament's running through September 10th.
Cool.
September 5th is when the elimination round begins. And so yeah, we'll see. Like we said, obviously international just in general has caught up a ton. But when they're not sending, this, like you said, this isn't the Olympic caliber roster that they're sending either. So it'll be intriguing to see if somebody can knock the USA off.
Do we know
Um,
how these can be watched? Do they say if they're, like, streaming them this year or
yeah, hang on. I just closed the page. My
Oh,
bad.
okay, never mind.
It's on. No, I'll pull it up real quick. I'm pretty sure it's on ESPN.
Yeah, I was trying
Um,
to I would
they
imagine too.
are
I don't
relatively early. The games are all in Asia. So, like,
Okay.
for example, the games are in Indonesia, Japan, and the Philippines. So,
Yeah.
let me
Gotta
see.
get up early.
I know. It's yeah, the New Zealand and Greece games are both at 8:40. The Jordan game is at 4:40 in the morning. Um, it doesn't say where they're being broadcast, so
It's gotta
TBD.
be, right?
Oh, no, it'll definitely be broadcast. I'm not worried about it not playing somewhere. I don't
Yeah.
know if it'll be on ESPN or if it'll be on
How it'll be
TNT or if it'll be on
watched.
NBC
Oh, here we go.
Sports or
It look at the bottom of this page, which is the FIBA basketball, like, World Cup page,
Uh-huh.
it's talking about ESPN
Okay.
Plus, so I would imagine
Perfect.
it's there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you would imagine some of the group games that aren't the USA games are probably on ESPN Plus, but I mean, especially again at 8:40 in the morning, what is ESPN running other than Sports Center?
Right.
Like,
We
I
are
think
so
you can
yeah, here we
preempt it
go.
for USA basketball.
The FIBA Media Marketing Service Director said, "This is excellent news. Basketball fans in the USA, we are excited to join hands with ESPN again.
Right.
This partnership will showcase all 92 games of the World Cup 2023 and bring more synergy that will make basketball more accessible." Yeah, so we're good. We're good.
All
I
right,
was I
cool.
was just making sure, you got to check these things out.
Yeah. All right. Real quick before we get out of here, I do want to mention Montrezl Harrell has a torn ACL, so obviously he's not
Yeah.
going to play this season. Kind of unfortunate news for him. His knee had swelled up during off-season workouts, and this is after he had signed a one-year deal to come back to the Sixers. But he's not going to play this year. I mean, Trez was basically a super depth role at this point
Yeah.
anyway. He had basically I mean, he was down to the fourth center by the end of the season. I mean, Joel obviously won, Paul Reed too, but even Dwayne Dedman, when they brought him in, it felt like was ahead on the depth chart.
Mhm.
To be quite honest, I was surprised the Sixers brought him back, but hopefully a smooth
Maybe it's
recovery
a
for Trez as he tries to get back in here.
Yeah, maybe it's a locker room thing, like maybe that
Yeah.
that just kept the chemistry good, and so they wanted to roll with it. Because I know, even with Reed, there was that thought that he was gone, and then he wasn't
Well
gone, and
so that
so
was the thing is it was like it made sense, not in a good way, if Paul Reed was leaving,
yeah,
but Utah threw that 3-year, $23.5 million contract at Paul Reed to try to pry him, obviously restricted free agent. The Sixers, they all said they certainly made everyone sweat.
oh
They
yeah.
made it
Paul Reed
like
said bye, didn't he?
I didn't fully say bye, but like
Yeah.
it hit. I went to bed, I think, with 3 hours with them having to match the deal, like fully
Yeah.
just ready to be mad in the morning because the Sixers had to bring back Paul Reed. Like, let me
Yeah.
like he's one of the guys on this franchise that doesn't deserve any slander. Like, he's been the best backup center of the Embiid era. He really brings the effort every single
Mhm.
night. He's improved. I mean, he's a stud in the G League. G League MVP. He's improved every year he's been in the league. Like for Utah, it made all the sense to go
Oh,
after him. Like
yeah.
that's the type of young guy you probably. I still think there's a lot of potential here.
And
Like
And from Utah's side of things, it's like you go for him, and if he says yes, or if it happens, then you get him, and
yeah.
if not, then the Sixers had to drop that money to get it to keep him. So
I'm
it's a
he
win-win from Utah's side of things.
yeah, and he's become a fan favorite too, just in Philly, like, with the out the
Yeah,
mud, and I mean, he just plays hard. Like, he
yeah,
plays hard, he
yeah,
embraces who he is, and I do. I think that backup big, which has been such a thorn in the Sixers side during the Joel Embiid era, finally feels like it's been solved with Paul Reed, a bona fide draft success story, a guy who
yeah.
got in the second round who's just become the best case scenario, it feels like, and yeah, it would have been malpractice to let him walk out. It would have been extremely disheartening in what's been frankly extremely disheartening 3 months for the Philadelphia 76ers. And I feel like that's an understatement. But I am thoroughly glad Paul Reed is back. It may be the last nice thing I say about the Sixers for the next 3 months, so savor it up, I guess. But
Yeah.
no, he definitely deserved that contract, and the Sixers had to do that. So I'm glad. And now, especially like we said with the Trez injury, if that was going to be the backup plan, you're already, like we said, that's now officially out. And again, not his fault, but that would have been a lot more bleak. But there were reports that Nick Nurse kind of wants to, maybe try Paul Reed out as in a 4 and a lineup with Joel at the 5 too. They haven't really played it. So look, try it out. Like it's the regular season. Like, why not do something new? We'll see how that goes. But either way, glad Paul Reed will still be suiting up for the Sixers next season. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Driving Dish NBA podcast. Appreciate you guys as always. Again, leave us a review on iTunes, good or bad. I'll read them on the podcast. If you are not an Apple user, Google Play Store, Spreaker, Spotify, TuneIn, Amazon, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find us.
Yep, and obviously check out the YouTube if you want the video version of the podcast, and subscribe. That way you know when episodes are coming out.